My journey truly began not with a bang, but with a whisper of unease as I, Alara Vance, watched a man named Victor Thorne dismantle months of my diligent effort with a casual flick of his wrist. He stood there, a silhouette against the harsh office lights, his finger hovering over the ominous delete key. The air in the bustling, open-plan workspace of Horizon Haulage thickened with unspoken tension. 20 pairs of eyes, belonging to the logistics coordinators, were fixed on the screen, reflecting the stark reality of the moment. My homemade quiche, now cooling in its ceramic dish, felt like a forgotten comfort. Victor, with his impeccably tailored suits and a smile that rarely reached his eyes, addressed the hushed room. Alara's client connection system, he announced, his voice smooth, yet edged with disdain as he read the title from the projection. Or, as I've come to call it, a rather elaborate exercise in sentimentality. The screen flickered, gone, vanished into the digital ether where the intricate details of client preferences, the carefully documented insights that had smoothed countless deliveries, the personal notes that had fostered loyalty and trust, all dissolved as if they had never existed. No need to clutter our systems with such extraneous data, Victor declared, his gaze sweeping across the room, lingering for a moment on my face. Let's streamline our approach, focusing purely on quantifiable metrics next quarter. It was then my phone hummed, a gentle vibration in the pocket of my cardigan. An unfamiliar number, yet a strange intuition urged me to answer. A call that, unbeknownst to me then, would reroute the very trajectory of my life. But to truly grasp the weight of that moment, to understand how I arrived at that juncture, witnessing Victor Thornamy manager, though he often acted more like a benevolent dictator, erase the very essence of my work, one must journey back. 18 months prior, I had joined Horizon Haulage as a junior logistics coordinator. My background was steeped in community outreach and local resource management, a world away from the fast-paced demands of freight. I'd envisioned a role where my knack for connecting people with solutions would flourish. Instead, I found myself adrift in a sea of impersonal protocols. The first few weeks were a dizzying blur of missed deadlines, frustrated drivers, and a seemingly endless cycle of client complaints. It was like watching a beautiful tapestry unravel thread by thread. No one seemed to be truly listening, truly understanding the human element behind the logistical snags. Victor Thorne, even then, embodied the company's ethos, efficiency above all. His mantra was simple: if it's not in the manual, it doesn't exist. Follow the rulebook, meet the targets, avoid improvisation. But I began to see patterns, echoes of the subtle nuances I'd learned in my previous life, where understanding the human story behind a need was paramount. A local artisan, renowned for her intricate pottery, consistently missed her delivery windows. The official record simply noted client uncooperative, but a quiet conversation revealed her struggle with debilitating migraines, triggered by stress, making early mornings a torment. A small bakery, a long-standing client, was always late with their payment. The system flagged them as high risk. A deeper inquiry uncovered the owner's quiet battle with his wife's chronic illness, draining their resources and his focus. Our standard procedure was to file a complaint, document the problem, and attribute it to external factors beyond our control. We lost the Riverbend Arts Collective account within my third month. Victor's assessment: not a good fit for our streamlined operations. But I knew, from a brief, heartfelt chat with their studio manager, that their frustration stemmed from our drivers consistently arriving during their delicate glazing process, jeopardizing weeks of work. A simple timing adjustment, a dash of awareness, could have salvaged everything. So, I began to cultivate my own system. Not a repository of emotional appeals, but a collection of operational insights. I noted when a driver mentioned their child's school play conflicting with a late pickup, or when a client's farm manager was grappling with an unexpected family emergency. When Leo Maxwell, one of our most reliable drivers, casually mentioned his route supervisor at Willow Creek Farms was planning a surprise anniversary trip and would be preoccupied, I made a mental note. I subtly adjusted the delivery schedule for Willow Creek, ensuring Leo arrived during the most convenient window. The farm manager, touched by the unexpected thoughtfulness, later specifically requested Leo for all future deliveries. Another client, a small batch coffee roastery, mentioned their head roaster was stepping back due to an illness. I flagged it, gently briefed our drivers on extending a little extra patience, a touch more clarity in communication. What could have been a rocky transition blossomed into an even stronger working relationship. I wasn't being soft. I was applying basic principles of human connection to logistics. Understand your environment, acknowledge the human factors, anticipate challenges before they become crises. Victor, in his own detached way, eventually noticed. Don't get bogged down in chit-chat, Alara, he'd advised, his tone clipped. You're not their confidant. I'd nodded, maintaining a neutral expression. Understood. But I didn't stop. I simply became more discreet in my information gathering. The more insights I gathered, the clearer the picture became. These weren't mere customer service notes. They were vital operational intelligence. A farm manager under family stress might overlook a crucial detail. An artisan worried about job security might rush a process. A small business owner navigating personal hardship couldn't maintain the same laser focus on efficiency. One crisp Tuesday morning, while reviewing a cluster of missed delivery confirmations, I received a call from Daniel Chun, owner of Harmony Organics. They'd been a loyal client for years, their orders consistently smooth. But something in Daniel's voice was different, flat, distracted. The order numbers seem a bit muddled, he murmured, his tone carrying a weary echo I recognized from friends grappling with personal loss. As we patiently navigated the details, he mentioned, almost as an afterthought, my grandmother passed last week. He spoke of it as if reciting a weather report, then pivoted back to delivery schedules. After the call, I updated his client profile. Family bereavement, grandmother deceased. Suggest gentle follow-up. Avoid undue pressure for next 2 weeks. Then, I did something Victor would have undoubtedly reprimanded me for. I sent a simple card. Not lavish, just a small gesture. Thinking of you and your family during this time. Alara, Horizon Haulage. A month later, Daniel upgraded to our premium, eco-conscious delivery service. No haggling over rates, no promotional pitches. He simply signed the agreement and said, I appreciate you truly seeing us, Alara. It was then I understood. This wasn't guesswork. This was operational intelligence yielding tangible, human results. The true test arrived with the Whispering Pines Apiary, a boutique honey producer in the rolling hills. Their owner, Clara Hansen, was notoriously meticulous, her frustration with delivery delays echoing like a sudden storm. She'd once threatened to sever ties over a minor cosmetic flaw in a jar shipment. 1 month, unseasonable weather battered her region, delaying our trucks. She filed a formal complaint that threatened our entire regional contract. I called her directly, offering a detailed explanation of the delays, acknowledging the impact on her delicate production schedule. Then, I casually mentioned her recent feature in a local gourmet magazine, impressive achievement for a small, independent operation. Nothing extravagant, just a demonstration that we understood her world beyond a simple delivery manifest. Her response was hushed, almost surprised. You actually read that? A week later, she upgraded to our climate-controlled, bespoke delivery service. No sales pressure, no enticing offers. This wasn't merely customer relations. This was strategic intelligence, applied with care, producing quantifiable operational improvements. My phone continued to buzz in that sterile conference room, Victor's smirk still plastered across his face as my work dissolved into nothingness. Even the drivers began to notice the shift. Leo Maxwell, who used to dread the Maplewood construction route, complained that the site foreman was demanding and brusque. Every delivery felt like navigating a minefield. I called the foreman directly, listening patiently to his underlying concerns. It turned out he wasn't unreasonable. He was simply overwhelmed because morning deliveries constantly disrupted his crew's mandatory safety briefings, extended due to new regulations. A simple adjustment. I shifted Leo's delivery window by 3 hours. The next time Leo returned from Maplewood, his story was completely different. The guy actually thanked me, Alara, he recounted, a hint of surprise in his voice. Asked about my family, offered me coffee. A complete turnaround. After that, Leo specifically requested the Maplewood route every Tuesday. Same client, same delivery requirements, but a fundamentally different operational understanding. They weren't foolish. The drivers, the clients, The site supervisors, they all recognized when someone truly paid attention to their operational realities, rather than merely adhering to rigid protocols. But Victor Thorn noticed too. During our quarterly review, he pulled me aside. This popularity contest approach you're adopting, Ellerate's not professional. It's certainly not scalable. I kept my expression serene. Client satisfaction scores are up 27% in my sector. That's not the point. He stepped closer, a familiar corporate tactic to assert dominance. You're making this department appear undisciplined. Clients shouldn't expect emotional coddling. Operational intelligence isn't emotional. Victor, I countered gently. It's tactical. His jaw tightened. Stick to standard communication protocols. No more improvisation. I nodded. Understood. Yet, the results continued to speak for themselves. Client retention soared, delivery efficiency improved, and driver satisfaction scores climbed across all my routes. It was difficult to argue with quantifiable, tangible success. When the annual regional meeting arrived, I had a quiet premonition. The familiar conference room, the lukewarm coffee, Mr. Harrison, the regional director, delivering updates in his impeccably pressed suit. I sat among the logistics team, watching PowerPoint slides detailing fuel costs and route optimization. Then, Mr. Harrison clicked to the performance metrics screen. A sharp blue graph, a line soaring upward at an impressive angle. Client satisfaction has improved 29% across the Pacific Northwest region, he announced, his voice beaming. That's our highest improvement in 5 years. A genuine ripple of applause, not just polite corporate claps, spread through the room. Mr. Harrison continued. Contract renewal rates are significantly higher. Multiple clients have voluntarily upgraded their service tiers. Driver retention has improved, and operational efficiency metrics show consistent gains. That familiar sense of quiet accomplishment settled over my mission accomplished. But I maintained a professional composure. Mr. Harrison didn't mention my name. He didn't need to. Every person in operations instinctively turned their gaze toward me. Even those who once rolled their eyes when I inquired about a client's family situation or a site's unique operational requirements. Victor Thorn sat 3 seats away, arms crossed, his foot tapping an impatient rhythm under the table, as if counting down to some unseen event. After the meeting, he followed me to the break room. Let's discuss your methodology, he said, closing the door behind us with a definitive click. Which methodology, Victor? I asked, my voice calm. Don't play coy, Ellera. You think I don't know what that presentation was really about? I maintained my level tone. Mr. Harrison presented regional performance metrics. A standard quarterly review. Victor stepped closer. This whole emotional manipulation routine you've been running, it's unprofessional. You're making operational decisions based on personal feelings instead of data-driven protocols. Client retention is data, Victor. Revenue increase is data. Efficiency improvements are measurable metrics. That's not what I'm talking about. He pulled out a printed memo and dropped it onto the table between us. You're being reassigned to special projects. I want a comprehensive analysis of your client interaction methods. Every conversation, every note, every deviation from standard protocol. Full documentation for executive review. I stared at the memo. A classic corporate maneuver, a veiled punishment disguised as a performance evaluation. Time frame: 3 weeks. A complete operational analysis with recommendations for scalable implementation. He was attempting to bury me in paperwork, while subtly claiming credit for the improved metrics. A familiar playbook. Understood. Just so we're clear, Ellera, he added, his voice laced with a thinly veiled threat. This doesn't make you irreplaceable. Results are team efforts, not individual achievements. I took the memo without a word and walked out. 3 weeks. I stayed late every night, fueled by lukewarm tea and the quiet determination to prove the intrinsic value of my approach. I meticulously sifted through call logs, delivery records, client feedback forms, and internal communications. I built comprehensive spreadsheets, correlating client upgrade decisions to the frequency of proactive, empathetic communication. I mapped revenue improvements directly to problem-solving initiatives born from human understanding. 67 pages of meticulously documented operational intelligence, proving beyond a doubt that situational awareness, coupled with genuine human connection, enhanced both client satisfaction and the company's profitability. Every metric cross-referenced, every improvement quantified, every successful intervention cataloged. When I submitted the report, I wasn't just tired. I felt a quiet satisfaction, like completing a complex tapestry. Victor accepted it with a dismissive wave. I'll review this and provide feedback. Understood. Just remember, Eller individual tactics don't automatically translate to department-wide strategy. I didn't respond. Let him interpret my silence as he wished. The email arrived the next morning. Subject: Mandatory Training Communication Protocols Standardization. Victor had reserved the main conference room for 2 hours. All operations personnel were required to attend. I knew, with a sinking certainty, exactly what this was. Not training a public dismantling. But I showed up anyway, taking my usual spot by the window, second row. My composure was calm, my spirit resolute. Whatever Victor had planned, I would meet it with grace. Victor stood at the front, presentation remote in hand, a tight, corporate smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Thank you for attending, he began. Today we're examining client communication methods. What works, what creates inefficiencies, and what truly represents professional best practices versus personal indulgence. He clicked the remote. My stomach tightened, but my expression remained neutral. There, on the projector screen, was the front page of my operational analysis. The 67-page report I'd meticulously crafted, now displayed like evidence in a courtroom. Charts, metrics, client interaction summaries all laid bare. Victor didn't look at me. Let's examine some examples of what not to do. It was then I understood. He wasn't merely dismissing my work. He intended to publicly humiliate me with it. My phone buzzed again in my cardigan pocket. The same unknown number. Victor clicked to slide 2. A client note I'd documented about equipment delivery during a family bereavement. He read it aloud in a mocking tone. Site supervisor requested delivery delay due to family funeral. Confirmed alternative schedule and implemented follow-up protocol for Monday. He scanned the room with a look of corporate superiority. Seriously? We're tracking family funerals now? What's next? Birthday parties. A heavy silence filled the room. No one laughed. Click. Another slide. Artisan son deployed overseas stress affecting operational performance. Recommend consistent scheduling and clear communication protocols. Victor smirked. Are we running a logistics company or a counseling service? Still, no one laughed. I caught Leo's eye across the room. His jaw was set tight. So were those of half the other coordinators. Victor pressed on. 10 more slides, each one twisting valuable operational intelligence into a corporate joke. A note about a plant manager's retirement plans. Another about a foreman's safety concerns. Every piece of information that had prevented problems or strengthened client relationships all warped into ammunition for his performance of efficiency. I sat there, my hands steady on my knees, watching him dismantle 18 months of proven results. I felt no embarrassment, only a quiet, resolute calculation. These are operational distractions, Victor declared, his voice rising. This kind of handholding creates unrealistic client expectations. Our job is logistics coordination, not life coaching. Then he displayed the final Slidomy revenue correlation chart, clearly demonstrating the direct connection between proactive, empathetic communication and contract renewals. The 29% improvement in client satisfaction. The quantifiable results. He ignored the numbers completely. He simply hovered his mouse over the shared drive folder. I've decided this database creates unnecessary complications. One click. Delete. Server space is expensive. Starting next quarter, we'll focus on measurable metrics only. Complete silence. 20 people watched their manager delete proven operational improvements because they didn't align with his rigid corporate efficiency model. My phone buzzed again. The same unknown number. I stood up, moving toward the door as if heading to the restroom. I kept walking, out into the quiet hallway. Alara Vance. I answered, my voice steady. Alara, this is Sophia Reed, from Evergreen Express. Do you have 5 minutes? I leaned my back against the cool wall, watching through the glass as Victor continued his monologue. You have 3. She chuckled, a genuine, warm laugh, devoid of corporate pretense. Fair enough. Direct approach. Have you been tracking your operational results at Horizon? The client connection system, that's your development, correct? I didn't confirm immediately. We've interviewed 7 clients who renewed or upgraded this year. They all mentioned you specifically. We also spoke with 3 drivers who transferred to our company from Horizon. Same feedback. My pulse remained calm, but I felt that familiar, focused clarity settle over me. What's the offer? Director of Client Flourishing. Base salary of $85,000. Profit sharing, equity options. Remote flexibility is needed. You build your team using whatever methods you believe in. No hesitation. Are you asking me to bring client data or internal information from Horizon? Absolutely not. Just asking you to continue being exactly who you are, Ilera. That was it. No extended sales pitch, no multi-round interview process. Just someone who understood intrinsic operational value without needing a condescending PowerPoint presentation. I accept. Is the contract ready for a digital signature? It is. Can you start Monday if you wish? Send it. I ended the call and walked back toward the conference room. Victor was still expounding on streamlined communication protocols and standardized efficiency metrics, as if he hadn't just obliterated the system that had produced their best quarterly results in 5 years. I stepped into the projector light and faced the room. The same calm I'd felt when navigating unexpected challenges in my community were clear thinking, decisive action. Quick announcement, I said, my voice carrying clearly to the back wall. Victor's mouth snapped shut. I'm resigning from Horizon Haulage. Effective immediately. Half the room looked bewildered. The other half looked like they were processing tactical intelligence they hadn't expected. Victor forced a strained, executive laugh. That's not how resignation procedures work, Ilera. You'll need to submit proper documentation through human resources. I pulled out my phone, opened the contract, and turned the screen toward him. Evergreen Express. Director level. Already signed. He reached for my phone as if he had the authority to demand it. I pulled it back gently. I don't need your approval, Victor. From the corner, Mr. Harrison stood up silently, straightened his jacket, and slipped out of the room, clearly wanting no part of what was unfolding. Victor stepped forward, attempting to regain control. You can't just abandon your responsibilities without proper transition procedures. Watch me. I turned back to the team, my gaze sweeping over their faces. For anyone interested in working somewhere that values authentic operational intelligence over corporate theater, you know how to reach me. I didn't wait for responses. I walked out with the same quiet dignity I'd carried into my most challenging community meetings. Mission complete, moving to the next objective. The elevator opened onto Evergreen Express's bright, welcoming office floor. It was a space designed for collaboration, where people moved with purpose, not corporate fear. Every person I passed offered a genuine nod, a silent acknowledgement that I already belonged. Sophia Reed emerged from her corner office, extending both hands. Welcome to your operation, Ilera. My office had actual walls, not flimsy partitions. A polished wooden nameplate read, Director of Client Flourishing. I set down my bag, opened a new spreadsheet, and began building the framework for truly human-centered operational protocols. 2 hours later, my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but the name on the screen made me sit up straighter. Clara Hansen. The Whispering Pines Apiary. Ilera Vance, I answered. Knew you'd answer directly, she said, relief evident in her voice. Didn't have to navigate some endless phone tree. What can I do for you, Clara? Don't suppose Evergreen handles meticulous apiary operations that need specialized logistics and truly competent understanding coordination? No sales pitch was needed. You know my operational methods. I replied simply. Exactly why I'm calling. By the end of that conversation, we were designing a custom logistics package for her expanding distribution. An hour later, Daniel Chin called. He'd seen my LinkedIn update, wanted to see if I'd landed somewhere that truly understood operational excellence. I didn't even need to explain Evergreen's capabilities. He wanted to transfer his entire regional distribution network. The third call came from a regional craft brewery that had been lukewarm with Horizon for years, never offered feedback, never upgraded services, minimal communication. Ilera, the operations manager said, his voice laced with surprise. You're the coordinator who remembered my head brewer was dealing with his wife's chronic illness. The migraines, the need for quiet during early shifts. Silence stretched for a moment. Then, how quickly can we move our contracts to Evergreen? By the end of week 1, I had 7 contract transfers in progress. No cold calling, no pressure sales. Just clients who remembered what genuinely professional, human-centric logistics coordination actually looked like. Meanwhile, quiet intelligence began to filter back from Horizon haulage. Victor was scrambling, attempting to implement damage control protocols. He'd started sending personalized outreach emails to key clients, except they weren't actually personalized. They were standard templates with mail merge fields that, more often than not, contained incorrect information. One client forwarded me Victor's email with a note. "Thought you'd find this interesting." The subject line read, "We miss working with you," but referenced equipment their company hadn't used in 2 years. Another email mentioned a plant supervisor who had transferred to a different facility 6 months prior. Templated efficiency meeting the messy reality of human operations. The results were predictable. Word travels fast in logistics circles. Evergreen didn't offer discount rates or pressure sell premium services, but industry feedback was spreading. They actually understand operations, kept appearing in trade forum discussions and LinkedIn comments. Every time someone called me, they arrived already convinced. They remembered the artisan's glazing schedule, the bakery owner's quiet struggle, the apiary owner's meticulous standards. All I had to do was answer the phone and deliver what I'd always delivered: attention to the human factors that truly affected their business success. By week 4, Sophia stopped looking surprised when the quarterly projections came in. 48% growth, she announced, reviewing her tablet. Month-over-month client acquisition. I was finalizing another onboarding protocol checklist. Give it 2 more weeks. Clara's expanding her distribution network into the neighboring state, and Daniel just asked about exclusive routing arrangements for his new product launch. She grinned. "Alara, you're not just building a client roster. You're building an operational ecosystem." She wasn't wrong. Halfway through the first quarter, contract transfers continued to accelerate. Small regional accounts, medium-sized distributors, then the major accounts that truly commanded industry attention. Clara's apiary and Daniel's organics both formally terminated their Horizon contracts. Clara posted on LinkedIn the same day. A professional post, devoid of specific names, but she thanked the logistics coordinator who treated our operation like it mattered, not like account number 47. Daniel commented with his agreement and a thumbs-up emoji. Sophia walked over that afternoon and stuck a small, handwritten note to my monitor. "Keep cultivating." The same day, someone forwarded me another Horizon email. This one from Victor himself, offering temporary rate reductions and personalized attention from senior management. A classic corporate panic response. No one replied. Not one client. 3 months in, industry gossip confirmed what I'd expected. Horizon was hemorrhaging contracts across multiple sectors. Victor had been called into emergency board reviews twice in 1 week. One of my former colleagues texted me late one evening. "You didn't hear this from me, but the board's investigating operational decisions from the past year." I'd heard enough. Victor had attempted to claim I was actively poaching Horizon clients, but the timeline was clear. Every contract I'd signed, every call I'd taken, clients had initiated contact. Most within hours of that conference room demonstration, some even the same day. The operational data cleared me completely. The same data buried Victor's defense. A month later, Sophia handed me a printout during our morning briefing. "Victor's final strategic move," she said, her voice gentle. It was a mass email to Horizon's remaining client base, offering emergency rate cuts and executive-level oversight of all delivery operations. Nobody responded. That was the last time Victor Thorn's name came up in professional conversation. Truthfully, I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to sabotage his career or burn professional bridges. He had managed all of that himself, one deleted file at a time. I simply offered clients an alternative, and they, in their own wisdom, made their choices. For months later, reviewing quarterly performance reports, my assistant knocked on my office door. "Call from Mr. Harrison," she said. "Claims it's an urgent operational matter." I stared at her for 3 seconds. I hadn't heard that name since the day I walked out of Horizon. "Put him through." Mr. Harrison's voice came through, smooth and diplomatic, as if he hadn't subtly abandoned ship during that conference room confrontation. "Alara, hoping we can discuss potential collaboration opportunities that benefit both organizations." Didn't realize we were still operating in the same sector, Mr. Harrison. He gave that executive chuckle they employ when trying to project confidence while navigating choppy waters. "Horizon has experienced some challenging market conditions. We've reevaluated certain operational approaches and would like to offer you a senior leadership position. I leaned back, watching the gentle afternoon traffic through my office windows. Continue. Senior Vice President of Strategic Operations. Complete autonomy over client relations, team development, operational methodology. Your protocols, your decisions. Compensation package. Double your previous Horizon salary, plus performance bonuses and equity participation. Additional considerations? Full departmental authority. Your recruitment choices, your structural decisions. We're prepared to be extremely flexible. I let the silence stretch until it became distinctly uncomfortable for him. Mr. Harrison, Evergreen provided all of that before it became a desperate necessity for you. He cleared his throat. I understand, but I don't think you're appreciating the full scope of what Horizon is offering. I think I'm appreciating it perfectly. Alara, this represents a significant opportunity to, Mr. Harrison. I'm not returning to Horizon. He didn't argue, just a quiet acknowledgement, then disconnection. 6 weeks later, Horizon announced layoffs affecting 40% of operations personnel. Industry news confirmed they'd sold 2 regional divisions to a Chicago-based firm nobody recognized. Victor Thorn wasn't mentioned in the remaining organizational structure. Someone forwarded me his updated LinkedIn profile. Operations consultant process optimization available for project-based engagements. No mention of Horizon, no mention of management titles. A generic corporate headshot and a list of rather fabricated achievements. The same day that news broke, Sophia called me into her office. We want to formalize your position, she said, sliding a contract across her desk. The header read Evergreen Express with a new title across the top. Managing Partner, Strategic Operations Division. I signed before sitting down. The office I used to occupy at Horizon was just a workspace. Now, I commanded an entire floor, a full operational team, with complete strategic autonomy. Real authority, not corporate theater. And I didn't chase business. Anna Marie, it blossomed around us. Every contract renewal happened because clients trusted our operational capabilities, our genuine understanding. We knew their production schedules, their personnel situations, their site-specific needs. We showed up, truly present, when competitors were still following generic protocols. Industry messages started arriving regularly, not from clients, but from former Horizon personnel. Simple requests, mostly. Any openings available? You were right about operational intelligence. Wish I'd followed your lead. I hired when positions opened, thoughtfully building the kind of operation I'd always envisioned. The most beautiful part was, I never had to destroy anything. Victor had handled that mission himself, one efficiency protocol at a time. His obsession with standardized metrics blinded him to the fundamental truth about logistics. People don't stay because you follow procedures. They stay because they know you genuinely understand their operational reality, their human story. No lawsuits, no public confrontations, no corporate drama. Just contracts quietly transferring from one company to another, one deeply satisfied client at a time. Now, when I walk the Evergreen operations floors, I see vibrant evidence of what truly works. Photos of drivers' families on workstations, notes about client operational quirks, updates on farm manager retirements and artisans' creative schedules. Every client file contains operational intelligence that isn't about mere revenue projections. It's about understanding the human factors that nurture true, lasting success. When emails arrive starting with, "You probably don't remember this, but I do." Every single operational detail. Victor thought it was inefficient sentimentality. I proved it was strategic, human advantage. And the best part? I didn't need revenge. I simply became too authentically valuable to ignore.